So this is how you play the Evade Eagle Spirtborn build. And if you ever played Diablo 3 or played an Inamonk in Diablo 3, specifically the Water Ally Inamonk in D3, this is going to feel exactly right at home for you. Now, I don't have all the gear for this build really at all. There is only one item that you need necessarily to like start, and that is Sepazin Tech. Anyway, this drops from either Duriel or Andariel. It is tradable, so maybe one of your friends has one, and you can probably just get one out of trade chat for like a couple million gold or something. I don't know. My brother had a bunch of extras, so he was kind of giving us all of them here in the Noodle Gang. It was kind of nice. But this is really kind of the only item that you need. There's a couple of cooler things, like there's some damage bonuses that I have in the other aspects, and I'll go over that in a second. But what this does is it makes your basic attack always use the third attack, and I'm pretty sure that's the bugged portion of this. I haven't looked deeper in to figure out what part of this is bugged that makes this work. But essentially, every single attack, is a third attack. And so when you're looking at Thunderspike, for example, your third attack pierces farther. This is the second paragraph down, basically. The third attack pierces farther, dealing X amount of damage, and reduces your evade cooldown by 5 seconds. So that's the main thing that you need, is that staff ends up using that 5-second cooldown every time you use Thunderspike. Now, when you evade, you cast Thunderspike. So when you evade, Thunderspike. Do it again, Thunderspike. 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 Sometimes it does the triple, but it's counting every single one of these, even though it's not the tri-beam or whatever, it's counting every single one of these towards that 5-second evade cooldown. So if you look at my actual evade charges, I only have one charge, by the way. The other 3 that I got, ignore my Paragon. We're not going to go over that at all because I haven't even gotten Paragon set up, and I'm still able to clear Torment Tier 2 without any issues, literally at all. I'm like invincible. I can't die from anything. But acceleration in your passives, so when you look at like your total build, acceleration is down here. It's just above where the ultimate stuff is. That one's going to give you 3. It's going to give you 2, 3, or 4. It doesn't really matter. You can do this with just 2 evade charges or 3. I just have 3 points into this because you deal, I guess, increased damage. I don't even know if that adds to it, to be honest. It does so much damage, and you'll see in a second. That's where you get your evade charges. I just want to show you what this looks like real fast. Most people, the biggest complaint that most people have is that they're sitting there like breaking their space bar to try and keep the evade charges going. So like if you look at evade down here, you can see that it automatically resets the cooldown. So I have it set to mouse wheel. So if I sit here and just massage my mouse wheel, I'm going absolutely crazy, right? Like you can see the evade charges just flickering like absolute madness. And yeah, so this is how you see people flying around arenas, flying around the screen. You see them in Helltides doing this with bosses and stuff like that. But the main component of this isn't that. The main component where the damage comes from, so this is what triggers something, and where the damage comes from is your Spiritborn class, your Spirit Hall. You have a couple that you can choose from. You've got like Jaguar, Eagle, Gorilla, and Centipede. Some people actually go Gorilla and Eagle, so it's 1 Gorilla, 1 Eagle. I do double Eagle right now just because it increases your critical strike chance. I don't even know if that's worth it, so you can go the Gorilla if you want to. But the primary one that you do when you do Eagle is every time you cast an Eagle skill, you get 8 seconds of Storm Feather, movement speed bonus, or whatever. Whenever you evade with this bonus, you fling a bunch of feathers out at things. This is the part that turns you into an AC 130 gunship, because this does X amount of damage. I believe that's based on your character damage, which is why all the aspects that I'm using give you bonus damage and or crit damage, and it makes everything vulnerable for 10 seconds. This is very, very stupid. So that automatically resets itself every time feathers hit something. It doesn't just last for 8 seconds. It's basically infinite as long as you're doing this. So once one of these beams hits a target, for example, I hit that target once. Now every time I go, you see how it's showing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you spam it, and it just goes absolutely crazy. And so that's where your actual damage is coming from. Not the punches or anything like that. It's this auto aim thing that you don't need to worry about. You don't have to aim it. You don't have to do anything. I can sit here and tumble into the wall infinitely, and it's just shooting an actual fucking laser beam at whatever's on my screen. I'm not doing a ton of damage. I'm literally doing in the low to mid thousands. I don't even think I'm hitting in the hundreds of thousands of damage, and I'm still able chilling in tier 2 or torment 2, killing everything because it's that many hits. It's almost like the ball lightning sorcerer from what was that, season 2? That thing was just bananas. It was insane. But yeah, so now 8 seconds have passed with me not doing anything, so it's not doing it again. But obviously, like, you just tumble into something and you're like, oh, hello, and then the numbers absolutely fly like tomorrow's never coming. And it shoots these feathers at everything, not just your one target. It's at everything. So if there's a bunch of stuff on the screen, I could be sitting here tumbling into this side over here. Configure target dummy. Let's see, multiple training dummies. Okay, so now I do it once, and look, I tumble, and it shoots everyone. So now everything is getting shot. Everything is getting shot. It is bananas. So you can clear entire screens, entire rooms. These pierce, by the way. So if I'm over here, like, look, if you look beyond all the mobs, they pierce. This is how you play it. There isn't anything more to it. So you literally get this staff, set that up, and move on with that, and that's it. So it's like not fair at all. Now I will say a couple of pieces of gear that do help this, or at least not the pieces of gear, not even the stat lines, because I haven't even optimized the stat lines of this. I don't have any greater affixes on anything, or I guess I do. It's just movement speed and life per second. Yeah, I don't even have greater affixes on anything, so don't even worry about that. But the legendary aspects that you use for this that I've imprinted on things is this one. So this is Binding Morass. This is going to slow things. Anything that you hit with indirect things, which is, of course, all of your feathers are technically indirect. So you slow everything, and then you deal 20% more damage to slowed targets. So that's just a damage modifier. Another aspect is another damage modifier. You gain increased critical strike damage equal to X amount of your block chance. Blocking doubles this bonus, blah, blah, blah. In addition to that one, gain X amount of block chance. This one is called interdiction. I didn't even know that. I didn't even like look into it. But yeah, this one gives you more block chance. Right now, I think I've got like 40% crit at all times. So you have bonus crit damage and then the 40% crit, which is pretty nice. I'm assuming, because again, I don't even have tempers on my gear. I imagine the tempers that you use, we could even look at one of the max roll guides just real quick. Storm Feather Potency. Okay, so the the tempers that you're going to use are Storm Feather Potency. It's not even crit damage. That's crazy. So that's going to make them even stronger. Wow. So just thinking about it, I can hit a solid 100, 200, 300% more damage than I'm currently doing, and I'm clearing tier 2 like with my eyes closed. So if you do the mouse wheel thing, that's gonna be a big deal. But a couple of the other aspects that you want to use, like Rakanoth's Wake, this one just gives you more non-physical damage by a good amount, which is great. And then Loyalty's Mantle, I only use this one for the damage reduction and using the double Spirit Haul bonus. I believe that makes your Eagle do 2 times the damage on here because you have 2 of them going, and you get the extra critical strike chance from the bottom one, because this one, it says it doubles it or whatever. Their bonuses are 100% more potent or whatever. So I'm imagining that's what that's doing there. I don't think that's really going to matter, because eventually you're going to farm yourself a Shaco, or you're going to craft one when you get 4 Resplendent Sparks. Anyway, the other 2 aspects that we have, this one is the triple damage if you're standing still, but you get a static 13% increase on your damage at all times. And then the Circle of Elements is cool because you're doing, what you have to remember is you're doing lightning damage. So when you see something like this, like, of course, the ring gives me vulnerable damage. That's cool. I don't really care. But you gain a bunch of extra damage to these couple of sets. It's like Convention of Elements from Diablo 3. It's the exact same idea. This just changes every so often. So like right now it's these 3 elements, and hopefully, yeah, there we go. And by the time I was done with that sentence, it had shifted to another one. So it's just another damage steroid or another damage modifier. And then this one gives you the damage bonus when you have a barrier. Because of the passives that are in your ability tree, you should always have a barrier. I don't remember which one of the passives does it, but you should always have a barrier. And one of the things about this makes you heal every time. I don't know if it's every time you do damage, or if it's every time you hit something like with this ability, or if it's every time you just cast an ability in general, but you heal for almost your entire life pool. A couple of things on your bar that you can use. Armored Hide gives you more resolve. Resolve is cool because it increases your damage reduction. It's crazy. I don't know how to put it in words how upsettingly broken this build is, because it makes me feel like I don't need to play anything else in this game. But use that. So if you're in a situation like with a boss or you're taking a lot of damage, use this to give yourself a lot more of a defensive. So that's really nice. But that's also going to give you block chance whenever you use the ability. And I believe that goes hand in hand with our increased critical strike damage equal to X amount of our block chance. So let's find out real quick. Let's do it all together. We'll learn it together and just see. So our critical strike damage is not very high. It's critical strike damage is, yep. So that's another steroid that you can have. You can have that one once in a while. That's really honestly just used for bosses. And same with Ravager. Ravager on the on this hand is pretty interesting. Ravager, whenever you use this, is going to use whatever stacks it has. So I'll read it to you. Unleash a savage roar, causing each of your attacks to trigger an additional damaging strike. So an additional X amount of damage strike per enemy for 6 seconds. That ends up getting super long because one of the modifiers on it is every time you kill something, you gain a bonus. And so I don't think I'm going to kill any of these, but yeah, so this isn't going to make it last very long. But every time, if you're using this out in the open world and you're killing stuff, you have Ravager on for, it's got to be like 30 seconds or something like that. You have it on until you can use it again, which is insane. So that is always up. So all of your attacks are attacking twice. You have a ton of critical strike chance or critical strike damage from Armored Hide, and that's pretty much it. I don't use anything else. You're supposed to use counterattack once in a while because that's a dodge that you're supposed to use on bosses. But I honestly haven't been using that either because I just haven't needed to. But essentially, your whole bar, think of it, how do you put this? Kind of like a sorcerer. Every single cooldown on your bar as a sorcerer gives you barrier, which gives you damage. Every single cooldown on your bar here is a defensive, but it's all a steroid just specifically for bossing, really. Your ultimate is the Devour. Whenever this is up, you get a couple bonuses from that. So one of the main things is like when you're fighting a boss or whatever, you end up getting a bunch of bonus damage to at least the bosses when you use your ultimate, and you get double that if you're only fighting one boss and no like additional mobs or ads or anything like that, which is nice. But if there are ads, then you get stacks of supremacy, which increase your damage even further. So both of these, both supremacy and resolution, give you yet again another steroid with the Devourer. So in reality, that what it all comes down to is if you don't have any wish or desire to have any kind of skill while playing the game, you can, when things are on cooldown, just press your 2, press your 3, press your 3 again. That's going to be like your main defensive. Think of it like Flame Shield if you play a sorcerer. Use your ultimate whenever you can. That's going to give you more bonus damage for everything that you're hitting because you're going to get stacks of supremacy. Or if you're, like I said, fighting a boss that's just a single target, you're going to do like 30% more damage to the boss. And obviously keep Ravager up at all times. It's not a very difficult one to play. It required a little bit of explaining because it's a new class and they have some very, very weird nuancy things about the Spiritborn. I think it's a very cool class. I honestly don't know if I like this build that much because it's so, I dare to say, boring, because you're just, I can do this with one hand. I can read a book with this hand and I can do something else, or I can like scroll on social media or do anything else while I'm just playing the game and just mouse wheeling. Like I don't need to do anything here. The entire game is now played for me with just this one hand until I get to a boss, of course, and then you want to like, oh, I gotta use that. Oh, gotta use my other steroid. Oh, I'm taking damage. I want to use my dodge thing. Or if I don't want to get hit by some kind of one-shot, oh, gotta use my dodge thing. And that's it for your Paragon board. Mine looks ridiculous. Don't do what I do. I still have like 50 more points to spend. I literally haven't used them because I haven't looked at the max roll guide. Refer to that for your own point deposits. But I've just targeted like all these yellow nodes. I'm probably going to go and attack both of those. I'm just putting them in stuff that doesn't matter at all. Once you optimize all of that, you optimize the things that you need, you get all your tempering and everything, you can probably chill on Torment 3 or Torment 4 with little to no real experience or idea of what's going on around you because this build is just that strong. Now, is it worth playing? Yeah, I think enjoy it while it's not nerfed or not fixed or whatever. Enjoy it while it's bugged. It's kind of cool. But otherwise, that's kind of that. What I want to know, though, is what you're playing this season in Diablo 4. I got a very late start because I had some very serious medical issues come up. I still have them going on. I'm fighting through the pain just to record this video. We'll see what happens in the future. Don't worry about that. It's not the time or place. Regardless of any of that, if you want to, you can follow me on Twixter, whatever the hell that website is called. You can join our Discord. You can comment on this video. You can like this video. You can subscribe to this video. All of those things are free. It doesn't cost anything. It helps helps out the channel here, and I will always appreciate that. Joining my Discord is the easiest way to get a hold of me quickly, because I'm on that no matter what. But that's about that. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and if you're bored, YouTube's going to recommend this next one for you. Happy grinding, travelers, and I'll see you in Sanctuary.